What's going on, LEGO Maniacs? It's Ty, the LEGO guy here, and welcome to another episode of To Invest or Not to Invest. Today we're actually taking a look at the Summer-Fall 2021 Star Wars wave and seeing which sets we should invest in and maybe which ones we should pass on. This is also going to help with the collector, since the last thing we want to happen, and I've been there, is you had the opportunity to pick up a really awesome set, but for whatever reason you just passed on it. That set retires and then it skyrockets in value. So again, it's going to help out the investor as well as the collector. But enough talk, let's get right into it. And at number 10, or the worst set that we can invest in from this wave, we've gone with, and just before we continue, this isn't professional investing advice, invest at your own risk, but the set that we've chosen is the 2021 Star Wars Advent Calendar. I was actually very surprised to find out how poorly these sets do on the aftermarket. I thought, for instance, having an exclusive Yoda, an exclusive Darth Vader, I thought that would help this set out, but it turns out that as time goes on, these sets actually depreciate, or at least retain their value, right? So don't go buying these sets if you think of them as maybe a set that you can invest in. And again, this is only taking a look at the last couple years, like 2020, 2019. They haven't done too well on the aftermarket. That's why this set strongly comes in at number 10. And at number 9, we've gone with a somewhat controversial choice. We're gonna choose the Duel on Mandalore, that set 75310. And just bear in mind, going forward, I think a lot of these sets from this wave are actually really good investment choices. It's just this one made its way onto, number 9, just because I felt the other ones would perform better. However, I'd be happy to be wrong about that. Main reason why I think that this might not do too well is just because this Ahsoka is becoming quite common. She's also included in the AAT. However, the maul to this set is exclusive. You also get a nice throne with it. This is also a smaller set. Doesn't cost too much money, very easy to store. Yes, you can buy a UCS set and it will probably appreciate in value, most likely, but you're gonna have to hold on to it for a couple years and it takes a ton of space. This doesn't do that, has that going for it, but it's just, again, that Ahsoka is what worries me about it. Again, I'd be happy to be wrong about this one. However, I still feel that it falls in at number 9. And at number 8, we've gone with the Boba Fett starship, better known as the Slave One, that's set 75312. This one was a tricky one for me to rate, just because Slave Ones have generally done really well in the aftermarket. However, they're generally twice as big as this, or even larger, like the UCS Slave One. Because of that, I don't really know what we're getting into with a smaller one like this. I don't know how well it's going to perform. I don't know if collectors are really going to want to have this one as opposed to having a larger, better Slave One. Yes, you may say, hey, Ty, the Betrayal at Cloud City did really well and it has a miniature Slave One. But yes, that's just part of the set. The Betrayal at Cloud City makes up 90% of the set, right? So yeah, I don't really know how this one's gonna do. It doesn't have an exclusive Boba Fett. However, with the Book of Boba Fett coming out, we're probably gonna get more of these Boba Fetts, which is that's not gonna help the value of this set as well, right? So because of those reasons, I'm just gonna put this at number 8. Yes, it may do well. It's not too big either. It's not gonna cost you an arm and a leg to buy, but I just don't know how it's gonna perform just because we don't have a lot of experience with these smaller scale Slave Ones and how they've done on the aftermarket. And at number 7, we've gone with the personal favorite of mine, being the Imperial Armored Marauder, that's set 75311. This one looks really, really cool, and I kind of almost view it like sort of like a larger battle pack, kind of like the 501st battle pack. It costs about 40 US and you get 2 standard stormtroopers, Grief Karga, and one of the main reasons a lot of you guys will like this set, it has a brand new artillery stormtrooper. He looks fantastic. I can't quite say that this set's gonna do as well as like battle packs. However, I wouldn't be surprised if people are gonna want multiples of these. I know myself as a collector, I want multiples of these. I think they're a great army builder. You're getting a number of stormtroopers. Yes, you get Grief Karga, but that's almost a positive. He's a cool character and you're getting him in the set. And again, you get an artillery stormtrooper. I think he just looks great. Maybe wrong about this one, but I feel that this pretty strongly comes in at number 7. I think it's going to do well on the aftermarket. Army builders generally do. And again, you're getting quite a few, just normal stormtroopers, 2 of them. And then again, that awesome looking stormtrooper. And at number 6, we've gone with the Bad Batch attack shuttle. That's set 75314. I initially had this set higher up on the list, but the reason why I lowered it was with the success of the Bad Batch, it being very popular. These minifigures are not going to stay exclusive to this. They're going to put them in other, models in years to come. So there's not really going to be, it's not going to have any exclusivity to it, basically is what I'm saying. And the Bad Batch shuttle, a lot of people actually don't like it. I actually think it's a pretty decent ship. Not perfect, but decent. Some people just absolutely hate it. So because of that, and the fact that these minifigures are most likely going to be in other sets, leads me to put this at number 6. However, the likelihood of them making this again within the next 10 years is very unlikely. So I still think that this is a pretty good investment. Just don't go up in arms about it. I wouldn't put this on the same, level as maybe the Mandalorian or like the Razor Crest, but I still think it's going to do quite well in the aftermarket, just not as well as some people may think. And at number 5, we've gone with the Armorer's Mandalorian Forge. That's set 75319. I really like this one. Lego rarely ever makes location-based models, so I'm really happy that they did that with this. You also get the Armorer and Paz Vizsla, who I believe it's probably unlikely these minifigures will ever be included in any future sets to come. So because of the exclusivity with the minifigures, as well as an awesome looking little build, I think that this one's a very safe investment. I think it will appreciate quite a bit in the future, and I think the likelihood of them remaking this within the next 10 years is also, it's not very likely. So because of that, I think it falls in at number 5 very strongly. I think that you definitely can make some good money on this once it retires. And at number 4, we've gone with the Mandalorian Starfighter. That's set 75316. I really like this shuttle, or fighter I should say, as much as some may not like it. And you also get 3 really good minifigures that are most likely not going to you're not going to really see these guys in any future sets. So because of the exclusivity of the minifigures, much like the Forge, as well as the fighter actually being pretty good, and the biggest reason why I think that this is going to do well in the aftermarket is we can actually look at the last Mandalorian fighter, and it's going for crazy money. If this one follows in the same, pattern that the older one did, it's going to do very well as well. Yes, you may say the shuttle or the fighter is not quite as good, which I believe there's an argument for that. However, it's still a pretty good ship, and you get some very nice exclusive minifigures. So because of that, I think that this set is a strong number 4. I wouldn't put this any lower. There's even arguments to make this higher, but let's just put it at number 4. I think it's a very strong investment choice, and them, ever remaking this set with these exact same minifigures in the near future is very unlikely. So yeah, definitely a solid choice. And at number 3, we've gone with Darth Vader Meditation Chamber. That's set 75296. This is pretty well a smaller scale UCS model. You also get some awesome looking minifigures with it. The Darth Vader with arm printing, which is still somewhat of a rarity, although he's becoming more common. An Imperial officer, who cares about that? But again, this is sort of like a smaller UCS set. Generally, UCS sets do really well in the aftermarket. I also sort of view this like the Duel on Cloud City. Yes, it's not supposed to be an exclusive Comic-Con set. However, it's in the same kind of vein, if that makes sense. These two look really well together as well. And it's just, again, it's like a smaller scale UCS set catered towards adults. Because of that, I can very strongly say that this is probably number 3. You could maybe put it a little bit lower, but I just think that, the type of set this is, they generally always do very well in the aftermarket. Maybe not as well as the Duel on Cloud City, just because that was sort of an exclusive model. However, it's still it's in that same type of vein, like we were saying. And again, it is a UCS set, basically. So yeah, because of that, I think it comes in at number 3. Definitely a very solid investment choice. And at number 2, we've gone with the Imperial Light Cruiser. That's set 75315. This is a beautiful looking ship. And the main reason why this comes in at number 2 is Star Destroyers, Imperial type ships at this scale generally do really well on the aftermarket, and I don't see a reason why this isn't going to do well. Yes, you may say, hey, a lot of these minifigures, they're probably going to be included in other sets. We're probably going to get a Dark Trooper battle pack, and yes, that's all true, but still, larger spaceships like this generally do really well. At least if they're larger spaceships from Star Wars, they generally do very well on the aftermarket. And because of that, I feel this strongly comes in at number 2. I could even make number 1, although there are reasons why number 1, knocks this to number 2. But yeah, very solid choice. Only negative, again, is it is larger, so you're going to have somewhere to store it. Not quite a UCS set, but it's not much smaller, to be perfectly honest. At least much smaller than, say, the $200 US UCS sets. But still, very strong contender for number 2. This is the one we're going with. And at number 1, we've gone with the UCS Republic Gunship. That's set 75309. Now, despite there being a lot of controversy with this one, despite the minifigures not being all that great, Lego had that vote and they basically just completely disregarded it. We can go on and on. There's many other reasons why a lot of people might have issues with this model. I still think that it's going to do very well in the aftermarket. If you look at any of the play scale Republic Gunships, they're crazy expensive. This is a UCS one, which you may be saying, oh, that's a negative. It's not a play set. It's not a play scale, Republic Gunship. And it's not, but it's a UCS set. So you're taking a very popular ship that they've actually done a really good job on. On top of that, it's the UCS version of it. I feel that this is going to do phenomenal in the aftermarket. The biggest negative though with this, besides the minifigures though, is the fact that it is so large. And bear in mind, UCS sets generally are on the market for 3 or more years. So if you buy this one, don't plan on flipping it anytime soon. You're gonna have to hold on to it probably for like 4 or 5 years until you can finally sell it and make some good money on it. So it's not a quick flip, but when that time does come, you will make money on it despite the negatives of the minifigures. The other negative too is it's very large. Like, these boxes are not little, so you're gonna have somewhere to store them. But if you're willing to wait the 4 years, I'd say, just to be safe, 4 or 5 years, probably 4 years, you're definitely gonna make some great money on this Republic Gunship. But that pretty well does the list. Let me know, guys, if you'd maybe change it in any way, if you disagree. Maybe there's a set that I'm not paying enough notice to, and you're like, Ty, this set's gonna do really well in the aftermarket. What are you talking about? Anxious to hear what you guys have to say about it. But yeah, that pretty well does the video. But if you liked it, leave it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, definitely consider subscribing and click that bell so you're notified for any future to invest or not to invest. We do one of them basically every month, and yeah, they're very interesting to get into the guts of the investment world, and to kind of speculate on which sets are going to appreciate more than others, based off the facts, based off of how other similar models have done on the aftermarket. But yeah, that pretty well does it again. But thanks again for watching, guys, and I'll catch you on the next one.